Now check this out for a second. I was thinking and asking myself, how come so many bad things happen to rappers all the time? You know what I'm talking about. Rappers getting shot all the time, rappers constantly getting locked up time after time, rappers getting jumped, rappers fighting with people at their own shows, the list goes on. The thing is, there's a pattern of bad things happening 24/7, and why is that happening in the first place? Even though everything happens for a reason and one action leads to another one, that then leads to another one that creates a cycle of things just going around and going around, I want to focus on this one concept. Rappers attract bad energy. So yeah, let's talk about it. Now we've all heard the saying, speak it into existence, right? Whatever you want to become or attract, talk about it and put it out to the universe and it's gonna come right back to you. This is kind of the direction this video is gonna go in. Do you remember that situation that went down about 2 years ago when XXXTentacion got punched on stage? One of the many incidents that just propelled his career to the top even more. Now as a response to this happening, what did X say? Next time, make sure you kill me so I can't talk shit. X also had a bunch of tweets where he was asking his enemies, whoever they were, to take his life. These tweets right here aren't really related to him getting punched on stage, but follow me here. We're talking about the most polarizing rapper from this whole new wave, but still, this is the kind of stuff that makes you go, so he put out all this bad energy out to the world and years later, he got shot. And when I say bad energy, I'm talking about tweets like this right here. This kind of reminds me of Lil Peep's last Instagram post where he was seen taking some pills and the caption was also Nipsey Hussle's last tweet on Twitter, and this is one that kind of just left me speechless. Having strong enemies is a blessing, and keep in mind the same day that's when he actually got shot. If you think for a second that I'm telling you all this to blame any of these amazing artists who died very unfortunate deaths, you got it all wrong. The point of me bringing this up is to say rappers attracting bad energy is a very much real thing. You can see it in every part of hip-hop. Of course, it's not as simple as putting up a couple social media posts and there you go, you've officially attracted a whole bunch of negative energy to yourself. That's not really how it works. It's actually way deeper than that. It's the way a rapper chooses to live his life and move. As an example, XXXTentacion had an extremely reckless personality. He had that I don't give a fuck attitude that a lot of people admired. Even though that was him and he fully embraced that careless side of him, especially in his early days, it of course came with a bunch of consequences. It was pretty much impossible for X to live a peaceful life because his name was XXXTentacion, and the decisions he made, well, he made them for himself. What about Lil Peep though? Well, Lil Peep had his demons. He was dealing with things internally that most of us can't even fathom, and eventually that destructive lifestyle he lived unfortunately took away his life. What about Nipsey Hussle? Well, Nipsey Hussle was mainly admired not because of his rapping skills, but because of his mentality, the way he carried himself, his entitlement to ownership. After all, he had the rights to his masters. And just like any successful person though, he wasn't born with that kind of mentality. He had to cultivate it throughout his life. But early on in the beginning stages of his life before he became a boss, Nip was of course out in the streets involving himself in a bunch of street related activities, so that was a part of his story. Right now though, we got a lot of young rappers who are running things in the rap industry. Some of them are new faces like NLE Choppa, and some of them are more familiar faces like NBA Youngboy. Now what do both of these guys have in common in terms of their lyrical content? Well, they rap about a lot of street related topics, aka the same things that took away XXXTentacion and Nipsey Hussle. The big issue with constantly putting out that kind of energy in the air is, unfortunately, it's gonna come back to you sometime one way or the other. Let me put it like this. Think about any rapper in 2019 who constantly raps about the streets, guns, shootings, the ops, you name it, the list goes on. Whatever rapper you have in mind, keep thinking about them, and let me say this. There's a risk that that rapper might get gunned down in the future. I hate to say that because if I'm gonna be honest, I'm not trying to see any more rappers losing their life in vain, but what's me hoping even gonna do when real lives have already been lost? I mean, there's proof of this. And now, I want you to think about a rapper who constantly raps about drugs. Whatever rapper you have in mind, let me say this, and there's a chance that sometime in the future, that rapper is gonna die from an overdose. We've already seen this happen multiple times, and I'm not really saying anything controversial here, but it is an eye-opener, isn't it? Let's look at things from another perspective. When was the last time you heard about a Kendrick Lamar or a J. Cole type of rapper getting shot at? It's literally never happened because they don't put out that kind of energy out to the world. This is the exact opposite of someone like NBA Youngboy. Someone like Youngboy can't afford to not stay alert at all times. There's always gonna be someone who's willing to at least try to hurt him for the sole purpose of his music exuding that kind of energy. Don't forget that Youngboy actually did get shot at earlier this year, and that shooting left an innocent man who just got done working his shift dead. I want you to think about it like this. If you rap about depression all the time, you're most likely gonna feel that way yourself. If you rap about abusing drugs all the time, you're most likely gonna be using those drugs. If you rap about guns and shootings all the time, you might just be a victim of it yourself. There's a difference between giving perspective on gun violence and praising that lifestyle. On the left, you have Kendrick Lamar on his song Mad City, and to the right, you got Outside by NBA Youngboy. The difference here is one of them is telling stories about the lifestyle and giving the listener perspective on it, and another one is praising it. Don't get me wrong, I like Youngboy, but let's just call it like it is. There's a reason why NBA Youngboy is getting shot at and Kendrick isn't. If you rap about things that are loaded with negativity, the universe is gonna do its job and give you that kind of energy back. Now the sad part is, unfortunately, more rappers are not only gonna get hurt, but die from attracting all this bad energy. Just a couple days ago, Lil Reese almost lost his life from getting shot in the neck. Lil Reese could have been next, and thank God he pulled through. I'm not trying to see any more rappers die. This is a very dark reality we have to face though. A lot of rappers are putting themselves in danger by attracting this bad energy. Now, breaking out of this cycle is close to impossible if you've already established yourself as a rapper who raps about street-related topics. And although it is close to impossible, it's not all the way impossible. Gucci Mane is a good example of this. He went from rapping about all kinds of violence, being investigated for a murder charge, and eventually he of course ended up beating the case. I say that to say, of course, you know, it is somewhat possible, but how many rappers exactly have you seen doing a 180 like this? It just doesn't happen too often. So yeah, rappers definitely attract a lot of bad energy, and I think this is a topic that needs way more coverage. In a weird way, it is the elephant in the room us hip-hop fans just haven't addressed. I mean, aren't we always wondering and asking ourselves, why do so many bad things happen to rappers and in hip-hop in general? This is one of those conversations that for some reason just hasn't been explored or even brought up, so I had to talk about it. I want to know what you personally have to say about this though. Have you ever thought about this entire conversation? Do you think rappers attract bad energy, or do you think they don't? Definitely let me know in the comment section below and let's have a discussion about this.